Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear Muslim brothers and sisters, when we hear the word flood, what usually comes to mind is water overflowing in certain areas. But what if the flood covered the entire surface of the earth, even submerging the highest mountains? The Quran records a great event that occurred thousands of years ago, the flood during the time of Prophet Nuh, Noah, peace be upon him. This was no ordinary flood. The water came simultaneously from the sky and from the earth. And it is mentioned that the water was high enough to cover even the tallest mountains in the world. Could a flood really reach such a height? Was this event truly global, or was it only localized to a specific region? And how does the Quran explain this? We will explore it step by step, based on the verses of the Quran and the explanations of the scholars. One, explanation from the Quran. The great flood that occurred during the time of Prophet Nuh, Noah, peace be upon him, is one of the major events recorded in the Quran. Several verses describe how extraordinary and unprecedented this event was. One of the key verses explaining it is Surah Hud, verse 40. When our command came and the oven overflowed, we said, "Load into it, the ark, of each kind 2 mates, and your family, except those against whom the word has already gone forth, and those who have believed." But none had believed with him except a few. This verse contains several important points. First, the disaster came as a direct command from Allah. Second, it mentions that the earth gushed forth water, indicating that the flood was not just heavy rain from above, but also included massive eruptions of water from within the earth. This was no ordinary flood. This is reinforced by another verse, Surah Al-Qamar, verses 11 to 12. We opened the gates of the heaven with pouring water and caused the earth to gush forth with springs. So the waters met for a matter already predestined. These verses show that water came from both directions at once, from above, with extraordinary rain, and from below, with powerful gushes from within the earth. The two forces did not act independently, but merged in a single divinely decreed event. It was a form of punishment that was planned, measured, and inescapable. The Quran's use of phrases like the gates of heaven and springs of the earth implies that the entire system of nature was mobilized to carry out Allah's command. Rain didn't merely fall from clouds, it poured as if the skies were opened. Likewise, the earth, which normally stores water within, suddenly erupted from every direction. Upon deeper reflection, there are no signs suggesting that this disaster was local. On the contrary, the language and scale described in the verses indicate a universal event. The Quran mentions no region that was spared. Only those who boarded the ark with Prophet Nuh survived. In Surah Hud, it is even stated that only a few believed and were saved. From the Quranic narrative as a whole, it is clear that this was a massive catastrophe extending beyond any regional limit. The water that came from above and below wasn't isolated, it enveloped all directions. This is why many scholars have interpreted the flood of Prophet Nuh as a global event, a divine punishment upon an entire people who rejected the message of their prophet. Oh, too, was the flood of Prophet Nuh higher than Mount Everest? So, how high did the floodwaters actually rise? The highest mountain in the world today is Mount Everest, standing at 8,848 meters above sea level. Some narrations from Israeliyat and classical interpretations mention that the water rose up to 15 cubits above the highest mountain, equivalent to about 8 meters higher than Everest's peak. Both symbolically and hypothetically, this suggests that the flood of Prophet Nuh covered the entire surface of the earth, including its highest mountains. Therefore, based on the Qur'anic explanation, scholarly tafsir, and classical narrations, many scholars believe that the flood of Prophet Nuh was a global catastrophe, not just a local flood like those we see in modern times. 3. The Ark of Prophet Nuh rested on a mountain. After Allah's command was fulfilled, the water began to recede. The sky stopped pouring rain, and the earth was commanded to absorb the water that had previously gushed from it. This moment marked the end of one of the greatest punishments in the history of mankind. The Quran describes this event in Surah Hud, verse 44. And it was said, O earth, swallow your water, and, O sky, withhold your rain. And the water subsided, the matter was concluded, and the ark came to rest on Mount Judi. And it was said, Away with the wrongdoing people. This verse highlights 3 key phases. 1. Allah's command to the earth and sky to end the punishment. 2. The gradual recession of the floodwaters. 3. The Ark of Prophet Nuh eventually coming to rest on a place called Mount Judi. Mount Judi is mentioned explicitly in this verse, indicating that the location is not symbolic, but real and specific. Renowned scholars such as Ibn Kathir and al-Qurtubi affirm that Mount Judi was a known geographical location at the time. The location of Mount Judi is believed by many historians and researchers to be in the southeastern region of present-day Turkey, in the province of Shirnak, near the borders of Iraq and Syria. It is part of the Taurus mountain range and is also referenced in Jewish and Christian historical sources. Interestingly, the Ark did not land on the highest mountain, such as Everest or even Mount Ararat, but specifically on Mount Judi. This supports the idea that the floodwaters were high enough to submerge many mountains and that the Ark rested as the water began to subside, not at the absolute highest point. The significance of this verse lies not only in the location, but in the precision of Allah's command and the definitive end to the punishment. Allah initiated the disaster, controlled it throughout, and brought it to an end at the exact moment He willed. With the Ark coming to rest on Mount Judi, a critical phase in Prophet Nuh's mission was concluded. A mission that began with a long journey of da'wah, calling to faith, ended with the salvation of the believers, and marked a new beginning for human life through those who were on board. Four, the high mountains believed to be submerged. To understand the scale of the flood during the time of Prophet Nuh, Noah, we can refer to a statement mentioned in several classical tafsir interpretations, which says that the water rose up to 15 cubits above the highest mountain. When converted, this means more than 8 meters above the tallest peak on Earth. The tallest mountain known today is Mount Everest, which stands at approximately 8,848 meters above sea level. So, if the flood truly reached or exceeded that height, then theoretically, the other highest mountains in the world would also have been submerged. Here are some of the highest mountains besides Everest. K2 in Pakistan, 8,611 meters. Kangchenjunga on the Nepal-India border, 8,586 meters. Lhotse in Nepal, 8,516 meters. Mount Fuji in Japan, 3,776 meters. If all of these mountains were submerged under the floodwaters, then it means the entire land surface of the Earth was covered. There would be no high ground left as refuge for anyone who wasn't aboard Prophet Nuh's Ark. This is also consistent with what happened to Prophet Nuh's own son, who, as mentioned in Surah Hud, verse 43, tried to seek safety on a mountain. His son replied, "I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water." Nuh said, "There is no protector today from the decree of Allah except for whom He gives mercy." But as described in the following verse, his son ultimately drowned. This indicates that even the mountain he tried to cling to could not save him. In other words, all mountains were submerged, and none were high enough to offer safety. In conclusion, if the water truly reached, or even exceeded, the peak of Everest, then the flood during the time of Prophet Nuh was a global catastrophe, one that engulfed the earth entirely. It could not have been a localized flood confined to a single region. Wisdom and lessons. The story of the flood during the time of Prophet Nuh is not just about a natural disaster. It is a divine warning from Allah to all of humanity. That punishment comes to those who continuously reject the truth and defy Allah's commands. But for Prophet Nuh and those who believed with him, Allah granted salvation through his guidance and revelation. Obedience, patience, and strong faith are the keys to safety when facing life's trials, whether they are small or massive. This concludes our discussion on the flood of Prophet Nuh and the belief that the water rose even higher than Mount Everest. Do you agree that the flood of Prophet Nuh was a global catastrophe that submerged the entire Earth? Please feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments section below. Don't forget to check out our other videos on this channel. May they increase our knowledge and strengthen our faith. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I conclude, please allow me to sincerely apologize if in this presentation there were any words that were inappropriate or unintentional mistakes. As a human, I am certainly not free from errors. May Allah forgive all my shortcomings and mistakes, and I hope that you all can forgive me as well. My hope is that what has been conveyed today can become beneficial knowledge and bring us closer to His pleasure. Thank you for your attention and patience.